Every generation has its own big thing. For some, it may be Star Wars. For some, it may be Harry Potter. But no franchisee has dominated the Hollywood movie industry quite like Marvel. For the last 2 decades, this franchisee has made multiple billion-dollar movies and raised a fandom for Marvel in places where the comics could not even hope to reach. Even if you think that Marvel has fallen in the recent years, it is impossible to deny how effective they were in their prime. For better or for worse, they reinvented what a superhero movie can be. One of the best things about early Marvel movies was their characters. They all had their unique ideologies and philosophies, which gives way to natural conflict. And no conflict in Marvel is better than the one between Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. The reason why they work so well is that Marvel took their sweet time in making this work. We went through an entire Iron Man trilogy, two Captain America movies, and two Avengers movies to bring a resolution to this conflict. The seeds of civil war were present from the very first scene. Here, we will discuss about how individualism and collectivism battle with each other. This is exploring the duality between Iron Man and Captain America, and you are watching The Man of Movies. For one, let's look at how their character design and powers give a nice way to contrast them. Iron Man, or Tony Stark, is a billionaire and he owns the Stark Industries. They are responsible for weapons manufacturing, and that means that he is not favored by the people. He lives a lavish life filled with sports cars, women, and everything he can ever hope to have. He comes off as an arrogant, self centered, and greedy man. Even his superhero powers are that which is built by himself. The Iron Man suit has the powers of an entire military, and with this, he is able to reach the pinnacle of what a man can be. He does not listen to anyone and fully relies on himself. From the very beginning, this character represents an individualistic mindset and he places his personal freedom above all else. Then, when we look at Captain America, aka Steve Rogers, he comes off as a humble man. He is righteous, caring, and above all else, likable as a person. He is patriotic and genuinely finds his purpose in the service of the people. He is a true army man, a good soldier, and someone we can look up to. His powers do not come from himself but was given to him for his acts of courage and compassion. For all these reasons, he feels responsible for the safety and well-being of his country. Even his costume represents American values, and unlike the Iron Man suit, it represents something larger than the person wearing it. He is shown as the opposition to Tony by representing collectivist values. But this is where Marvel does some of the best character work they have ever done. By the beginning of Civil War, these characters have completely changed. In fact, they are on the exact opposite sides, and they are both right in their own way. We can now look at how their journey led to this outcome. From the very first Iron Man movie, Tony had to learn and understand the importance of accountability. This is very much a story about turning away from self centered values to social awareness. In his first movie, he realizes that his negligence with control over his own business has led to warfare and crime. Stark Industry weapons were used in ways to tyrannize over people. From his subsequent movies, he learns the same values about how his arrogance and carelessness leads to the rise of evil around him. He starts as a man that cared only about himself and learned to live a more meaningful life. This is seen in the ending of Avengers 1, where he carries the missile out into space. We can see that he's a very good person at heart, and this quality shines more as time goes. However, Steve's journey is completely different to that of Tony. Steve starts off as a soldier who fights against the Germans, and there are clear distinctions of good and evil. Whereas when you look at Captain America and the Winter Soldier, the line that separates good from bad seems blurry. The enemy is not always on the other side of the ocean, but at home. They are within the very systems that claim to protect your people and community. With Steve understanding the reach that Hydra has even within S.H.I.E.L.D., he realizes that he must be more skeptical of his own side. The values he once held does not change, and he fights with strong conviction all throughout the Infinity Saga of Marvel. We see the conflict between these characters rise with every movie they interact with each other. In Avengers 1, they both question each other for how deserving they are of their own powers. Tony is annoyed for having to inhibit his curiosity for the schemes that S.H.I.E.L.D. is doing and having to be down in the command line, whereas Steve opposes what S.H.I.E.L.D. is doing due to his own ethics, but strongly opposes to the attitude that Tony is showing here. Steve thinks that Tony is selfish and questions him by asking whether he will let someone climb over him when he was held at the end of the wire. And Tony answers with something that is only meant to annoy Steve. On a level of principle, they oppose one another. In the Age of Ultron, Tony starts moving towards more control and regulation. He plans to build a weapon that can protect the Earth from cosmic entities, but this results in Ultron. Even though his intentions are good, he is doing this more so due to his own weakness and feeling of helplessness. Here too, Steve opposes this because he understood the dangers of working with such strength without the team's knowledge. When it comes to Captain America Civil War, their conflict becomes the main theme of the story. By this time, both characters have changed, and their change was due to one thing: regrets. Tony, by this time, regrets many tragedies that stemmed from his own carelessness and arrogance that he completely loses trust in himself. Through this, he loses trust in the ability and rationality of an individual and starts to believe that to some extent the individual has to be regulated by social values. But what Steve Rogers loses trust in is within the system. He also trusted in the institutions at one point, believing that they had similar values to himself. In a way, every Captain America movie has been about him challenging systems of power. It in fact reaffirms his own moral position and says that an earnest soldier can make changes in the wider structures that surround him. He comes to believe in the strength of the individual now more than ever and starts to question group and powerful agencies. This fear can be seen within Civil War when the heroes are asked to sign the Sokovia Accords, which would keep his hands tied. Tony believes that even though it's control, it is fine if managed humanely. When he looks at people like Bruce Banner or Wanda Maximoff, he sees the immense power that these people hold. They are a threat sometimes, and their freedom seems to not matter as much as saving the lives of people. This may be right to some extent, but Captain America opposes this. According to Steve, how much more rational and humane could this government be with superpowers? If they have superheroes under their control, it may lead to more corruption and tyranny like seen in The Winter Soldier. Furthermore, the Avengers would not be able to rescue people in areas they did not have permission. This may very well progress to an oppressive system. Though the government starts with telling the Avengers what not to do, it can transform to the government telling the Avengers what should be done, effectively making the Avengers the soldiers or the military of the country. Here, within this movie, we did not get a happy resolution. As a matter of fact, by the end, the Avengers are broken, and this gives way to the incidents of Infinity War. The ideals Tony held led to a far worse outcome than what had happened in Sokovia. His belief in doing good for the people and having social values are very powerful and useful, but he failed to understand the importance of individual freedom. Steve realizes that power must not be accumulated in one area and that people must have their autonomy protected. The movie also goes one step further to prove how Tony made a mistake. By the end of the movie, we understand that Bucky was the reason for the death of Tony's parents. Here, Tony tries to kill Bucky for a crime that he did not commit consciously. This shows us that if power resides within the wrong person, their personal reasons can become a factor in where this power is directed towards. Even though the Avengers must be kept in check, it cannot come with stripping away agency. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.